What's up, YouTube? You guys ready to go back to work? It is Sunday afternoon here, and I came down to Berkey to see what stuff looked like. The tractor's right where we left it. This was a mud hole. It's drying up quite nicely. I think we'll be able to finish here today. Phil came down the other day and got us another tank. There's two full ones sitting back at the farm over there. So we've got enough anhydrous to finish the stuff that we got down here. About 100 acres to go. Let's get the tractor fired up. We'll check some oil and make sure everything is good to go. Okay, got the valves opened up. We should be ready to go. So today's Sunday. It was, what day was it? Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday when we were down here and got rained out. We had about 8/10 of an inch of rain down here. And, well, it's finally dried up enough that we can get back to it. So hopefully everything holds together and works well for this 100 acres so we can at least get down and get back to Waldron. We had a couple rows that weren't sealing very good. Obviously, when it was raining, things get wet. It doesn't work near as good. So it looks dry. Should be good to go. Whoa, that's not good. You guys see that? What the heck happened? So we have two hoses that just exploded, just burst. That one and one over there, right there, both of which go to our pressure gauges. They're not lines that go to a row unit, but why would they explode like that? They're hot because it's sunny and hot out, but I mean, it didn't weaken that hose that much, did it? I mean, goodness gracious, look at that. So, what do we do about it? The thing is, they're the pressure gauges, so we don't really need those hoses, but we can't have holes there. We could plug them here, or we could figure out a way to splice that hose. I don't have enough of it to replace it, I don't think. We could cut that out if we had hose barbs and just wire it together, splice it together, but holy crap. Okay, I mean, I don't think all my rows are plugged. I might have to go through with a screwdriver or wire and stick it up in them holes, but it doesn't make any sense. Why would that pressure build up so much? I don't understand. It's downstream from the valves, right? So the supply is coming through this big hose, through the valve, and then into this distributor, and that's all free and open to the lines. And that hose that blew is this one that comes out of there. So I don't understand what would cause that. You can see that is not thin tubing. It must have had a tremendous amount of pressure. So I'm gonna take this piece that I cut out over to the farm, see if we've got some hose barbs and some hose clamps. If not, we'll have to run to the store and find some. But that's how we're gonna have to fix this for right now. And I don't know if it was just because I was still going slow, and the pressure regulation, the servo valve hadn't caught up yet, or what. Combined with the heat and black hose, it was a little soft. I'm not sure. But we're gonna fix it and try again and hope it doesn't happen a second time. It about had to be an overpressurization. I mean, obviously it was overpressurized, but the question is why. Those lines don't actually flow any liquid anhydrous through them. They're just a pressure gauge to show me that they're open and how much pressure is running through that section. So it doesn't have continuous flow. Like I was thinking, well, maybe there's some moisture in it that froze or something and it plugged it, but it doesn't flow through that line. It just goes to a pressure gauge. I don't know. Well, we have a lot of brass line fitting stuff, but nothing barbed, not what we need. So I think we're gonna have to run to Tractor Supply. Fortunately, it's close, which is part of the reason we don't have a lot of stuff here, because one, we're not here very often working where we would need this stuff. Ooh, what do we got up here? Hose clamps. Ooh, some of that might be useful. And everything is so close that when you need something, you just run to town and buy it. Yeah, not gonna be here, I don't think. Well, as it turns out, I forgot Tractor Supply sucks, so we had to make a trip to Lowe's. They had kind of what we need. Turns out 3/8 hose barbs are not something you find in a ton of different materials. My choices were plastic or brass, neither of which is great for anhydrous. Plastic because, well, it's plastic, and brass because anhydrous ammonia kind of eats brass. Well, copper, but there's copper in brass, and so that's not great, but it'll work for today. This is just a band-aid to get us going. So all we're doing here is cutting out the bad spot, putting a couple of hose clamps on, and then taking our brass hose barb pipe mender deal and shoving it in there, tightening up the clamps. Okay, we should be good. Now, I have a theory as to why this happened, and I have no idea if I'm right or not, but here it goes. So our system has been completely, well, not completely, but basically bled out in the 4 or 5 days it's been sitting here, was completely depressurized. Our tank, however, has been sitting here half full, and it is now hot. Like, it is almost 90 degrees out here. Sun is baking down on it. So the liquid in there has warmed up considerably from what we were running the other day, which means it's at much higher pressure than where we were. In fact, we're running 130 PSI in this tank, which is a lot. And so what I think happened is, as we were repressurizing the system, the coolers could not cool the anhydrous fast enough to keep it in a liquid state, and we let some of that tank pressure through the entire system, which bursts our hoses. So I don't know if this will help that situation at all, but because we have a dual cooler setup here, I'm actually going to close one of them off. And in doing so, my idea is that will force all of the anhydrous to go through the other cooler, therefore cooling it faster and working all of the air out of the system and the excess pressure, which will hopefully prevent that from happening again. We really probably only need to make a couple 100 feet with that one closed, but I'll make a pass. We'll go down, get on the other end. As long as everything goes well, we'll open the other one back up, and then we should be able to fly today. We should have so much pressure in that tank we can drive as fast as we can. Just in case we have another catastrophic hose rupture and anhydrous shooting in the air behind me, I'll let you guys watch when we get started here. All right, let's see. Get everything set back up. Go slow. More in the ground. It's on. Yeah, our pressure spiked and then it backed down. Okay. Flow rate exceeded. Running, I can see all the lines shaking. Come on, bleed it out. Come on. Still says no flow on the display, so we'll come back over this, but I think we got to work it through the system. That's my theory. Why isn't it showing me any flow? Well, I seem to be putting anhydrous on. I can see little puffs out of the vapor, the rows behind the tires there, so I know I'm getting product. My gauges are pegged out, super high pressure, but it's still showing me no flow. So I think I have flow meter issues again. And I don't understand why, but we're going to have to bleed it out and take it back to the farm and pull that apart and look at it again. I don't know what else to do. Super frustrating here. I think I've narrowed the problem down to this piece right here. This is the magnetic sensor that senses the flow meter pulses or revolutions, I guess. Threads into the top of the flow meter there. The impeller in there looks fine. It spins when I throw air in it, and it keeps gliding until it coasts to a stop. I mean, it doesn't seem rough or like there's any issue there. but it's like this isn't reading it, and so I don't know. I'm gonna put it back in, try and get it adjusted right. I tried to clean it up a little bit better. We'll try it again, but not looking good here. Okay, I've put that back together, repressurized the system. We don't have any leaks, everything's good. I'm gonna run just down these first end rows here at the farm at home. We've already done this, but I just wanna see if it's gonna work before we go back to the field. So what we need is a reading here and here. We were getting zeros before, even though I know it was doing something. So, nothing. We got nothing. And we got gas going on. I can see it puffing out. Our gauges are pegged. We got no flow. Dang it. I think we need a new flow meter. All right, so here's what I have decided. I am fairly confident that flow meter is bad. I am not entirely sure if it is the pickup or the impeller, but I'm leaning towards the sensor, the magnetic pickup. I don't have one of those. It's a Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Nobody's gonna give me one of those, right? Well, there's a neighboring farm halfway between here and Waldron that actually they build anhydrous bars. They build really good, high quality shank style anhydrous bars. Had we decided to stick with a shank style bar, we would have bought one from them. But point being, they have all of this stuff on hand. I texted the guy, asked him if they had them, and if it would be okay if I came and got one today, and he said, yep, he was there working on it. So I'm gonna run and get a flow meter. Unbelievable that they would, yeah, it's awesome. So I really appreciate them being open, especially since we didn't even buy a bar from them. But they do a really good job. So my problem is my only method of transportation to get there is in the field. So we're gonna drive back over to the field here, and then we're gonna run and get that flow meter. I'm gonna attempt to just change the sensor portion first to see if that works, because that's a whole lot easier to change than the entire flow meter. But if I gotta change the flow meter, we're gonna change the flow meter. Got what we need. If anybody out there is in need of a shank style, like that one, anhydrous bar, I highly recommend these guys. It's Countryside Farms. They're based out of Lyons, Ohio. They build very good quality stuff. And if you're local and you need parts, hit these guys up. They're very good and took care of me today, and I really appreciate it. Here's our new flow meter, and this is the piece I'm going to try and change first to see if that works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, we'll have to change that as well, and we'll go with it. Oh, this is turning into a long day. It wasn't supposed to be this long of a day. Okay, we got that changed. The other advantage of not changing the meter and just that sensor is that sensor should not screw up our calibration number at all, where changing the flow meter itself will. They give you a number that it should be and that you should put in, but this one shouldn't affect it because it's all it's sensing is pulses. It's not changing how many pulses. Yeah, anyway, time to try it. Still got no flow. Not gonna fix it, so we're gonna have to bleed the system out and change the whole flow meter. Or it's not a flow meter issue and we got something else going on that I can't figure out. All right, I got the flow meter. It wanted to separate there, so we just took that whole pipe out, got it in on the bench. I'm gonna go take it apart and get the new one installed. I'll show you in there. Here's what we got. Got to put in the vise. We need to take it apart here and here. I don't need to take this fitting apart. I don't need to take any of these fittings apart, just from the flow meter. So I'm gonna try and do it that way. I should be able to use my big crescent wrench there and get them spun out of there, hopefully, without screwing anything else up. Okay, here's the old flow meter, and in the things that make me feel better, like I may have found the problem category, when I reach in there and try and turn that impeller, it sticks. It goes for a second. Now it's better, but right there it sticks. That should turn super smooth. I think the bearings are going out in there. I blew air through it and I thought it spun when it was still on the bar, and sometimes it does, and then it sticks, and it, yeah, like it'll go a little bit and then it gets a hard spot. But if that wasn't spinning, that's why we aren't getting a reading. and it seems loose and wiggly. I'm guessing the bearings went out in that flow meter. So that means this almost certainly will fix our issue. Yeah, look at how nice that one spins. Yeah. Bit of a difference there, because I don't think if I blow in this one it'll spin hardly at all. Nothing. Cool. I mean, that's great. That means we know what our problem is. Okay, back together. Got good pipe dope on there. Let's put her back on the bar. Okay, it's back together. I gotta plug it in, but we can pressure test it. So I'm gonna crack a valve and see if we have any leaks. Close my bleeder. Looks good. Excellent. So before we get started here, there's one more thing we've got to do. If we look on this tag, it has a meter cal, and we want this gallon is 1,440, and that's per 10 units. It says on the other side, per 10 units of measured volume there. So for every 10 gallons, it's going to do 1,440 pulses. So we got to change our calibration number in the display to match that, which is this number here. Now the last one was 720. So what that tells me is basically this one has twice as many pulses as the other flow meter. It must have twice as many little magnets or sensor spots on that impeller. So cross your fingers, guys. I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do. That did not fix our problem. We are clearly putting it on, but we have no rate control. We're basically putting it on as fast as it'll flow out of the tank. So when I drive super fast, we're not terribly high overplying it, but our pressure gauges are pegged out. They aren't bouncing at all like they usually do. And I can't drive fast. I have no rate control. We're just nothing. I have to have a flow meter working, and I don't understand. I don't know what to do. I'm getting more confused and frustrated by the minute. This is a brand new flow meter. Brand spanking new. I blew some air in it to see if it would read anything when it spun. Because I set up a calibration on the computer so that it would accumulate and count if it did anything. It did not. So I thought, well, let me test my wire harness. So I took the wire apart right here, and I used a jumper wire because there are two of the 3 pins on here. You can connect it together and kind of pulse it, and that's what the signal is, and it'll tell. That worked. The wire harness is good to right here, which means it's in the new flow meter that's not working. But I don't understand why it wouldn't be. I don't know what to do. Found it. I found it. I decided the problem had to be in this plug. Look at that. That is a broken wire terminal that was making contact sometimes and not other times, and it's all kinds of corroded. And that was... Oh, I'm frustrated. Focus, come on. Yep, that will do it. The problem is I don't know how to fix this type of connector. So either I hot wire it, just connect the wires directly to the flow meter sensor, or we figure out how to fix it tomorrow. Oh, it gets better. There was 2 of them that were broken off. Yeah, that there would be your problem. All right, well, I'm trying to figure out what my options are tonight. It is now 6 o'clock. We've done about 10 acres at approximately double the rate that we were supposed to, which means this tank is basically empty, and we're probably not going to have enough anhydrous to finish. So even if I get this working tonight, it probably doesn't matter because we aren't going to finish tonight. Although it would be nice to get close to being done, especially with possible rain coming tomorrow, that maybe I could come down first thing in the morning and just run off a tank and be done before it starts raining. The only way I can do that is to cut the end off of this sensor and put different terminals on between the wire harness on the bar and the flow meter sensor. I really don't want to cut that end off, but that's the way to do it if we're gonna go tonight. The other thing I can do is take one of these broken terminals back with me. I've got a buddy that's got a pretty good electrical terminal connector kit. He might have some, and I could bring them down early tomorrow morning and try and fix these ends, put it all back together, away we go. If he doesn't have them, I'm going to end up cutting an end off and going anyway. Or trying at the local deer dealer, but something tells me they won't have them either. I don't know what to do. I found a third option, but it is going to require me to be awfully good, and I don't know that I'm good enough. I found some solder and a torch, which is not a soldering iron that I would like to have, but I might, maybe, be able to clean these ends up, solder those back on, and put it back together. Let's see what happens. Holy crap, I think that worked. Wow. All right, now I got to remember which order the wires go in that circle. And I think we can put it back together and try it. I'll be fascinated if this works. I give up. When I was trying to push the wires back into the pin, the solder broke on one, and then the green one that hadn't broke. And I don't care that much anymore. It's after 6:30. I did 10 acres today. Pathetic. Wire harness. Who would have thought it was the dang wire harness? That thing was in shrink wrap and everything. Like, it wasn't exactly exposed to the elements, so I'm not sure how it got all corroded. But it did. So I'm gonna run back up to my buddies and see if he's got those pins. I brought stuff to be able to compare it and try. Hopefully he does. If not, we're gonna make it work in the morning. Well, bummer. He did not have the right pins that I need to fix that connector. He had some that were similar, but they're a different style connector and they won't fit in the plastic housing for it. So we'll stop at the John Deere dealer. There's one on the way to Berkey, or right there in Berkey. It's possible that they will have them. It is a John Deere wiring harness. That the pins are bad. It's on the rate controller side, which is a John Deere deal. So maybe they will have them, but I'm gonna find some alternative options that we can crimp on in the meantime if we have to make it work. And fortunately, since I bought that new flow meter today, this one here should be not the problem and still work. And if I got to cut that end off, well, it's not the end of the world, is it? Because I got another one. These are not exactly ideal connectors, but they will work if I have to use them. Pliers to crimp them. There's that. Phone charger because my phone was dying. All right. Well, hopefully the John Deere dealer will have what I need tomorrow and we won't have to use those. But what a frustrating day. 8 o'clock, I spent 7 hours and I did about 10 acres, and that was done at a super high rate, because basically what happened is that bar sensed zero flow, so the servo valve that controls the rate just opened up wide open and tried to put on more and more and more so that it would sense a rate, and we just applied it at full bore as much as we could possibly put on, and is what it is. So we'll probably end up a little bit short with tanks now, but maybe they'll be open tomorrow. Hopefully it's not raining. It doesn't rain until later in the day, if it rains at all tomorrow, and we can at least get that done down there to Berkey and get moved back up here. So frustrating. That was one of the more difficult problem solving or diagnostics that I've had to do. Thought for sure that flow meter was going to be it, especially after it wasn't turning very good. So I think that the flow meter actually was bad, and that was what was causing some of my rate issues a week ago. But I don't think that was causing the problem today. I think that broken wire was for sure the problem here today. So it's good that we got a new one and we were replacing it. But yeah, bigger problems. So who would have thought? Wire harness. But anyway, I'm going home. Thanks for watching. Hit the like, subscribe buttons. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. We'll see you tomorrow.
Guys, you know what the worst part about making these YouTube videos is? I just had to relive the whole day over again editing it. I hope tomorrow's a better day.